Picture this. Your toddler is flat on the floor. They are screaming, thrashing, maybe even holding their breath until they turn bright red. In that exact moment, most of us jump to one of two conclusions. Either we think, wow, they are totally manipulating me, testing my boundaries, and trying to drive me insane. Or we panic and think, oh no, something is seriously wrong here. But according to 2 decades of neuroscience, the truth is actually neither. A tantrum isn't defiance, and it definitely isn't a sign that you're failing as a parent. It's actually a literal window into how a toddler's brain is wired. Once you understand the mechanics behind the meltdown, you stop taking it personally. You stop viewing it as an emergency you need to shut down at all costs, and you start seeing it for what it really is, pure information. To understand this, we have to look at what a tantrum actually is under the hood. We used to look at the brain through the triune model, which splits it into 3 basic systems. And while modern science has gotten a lot more nuanced, the analogy still works beautifully. First, you have the reptilian brain, which handles basic survival like breathing and heart rate. Next is the limbic system, the emotional powerhouse responsible for big feelings and instant reactions. Finally, there's the prefrontal cortex, the thinking brain that manages logic, patience, and impulse control. So, what does that actually look like in real life? It means when your toddler is in the absolute thick of a meltdown, they are literally incapable of rational thought. In that exact moment, the machinery just isn't working. They can't reason with you. They cannot grasp a perfectly logical explanation for why they can't have that toy or that snack. They can't even fully process language. Think about it this way. The speech centers in their brain have basically dimmed the lights because the amygdala, their internal smoke detector, is firing on all cylinders, treating the situation like a genuine emergency. From a purely neurological standpoint, when your toddler is screaming because you said no cookies, their brain isn't just being dramatic. To their nervous system, that emotional distress feels every bit as real, urgent, and terrifying as a physical threat would feel to you or me. This is exactly why traditional parenting advice so often backfires. Telling a screaming toddler to use your words is, neurologically speaking, like asking someone to do complex calculus while falling out of an airplane. The machinery to do that is literally turned off. Dr. Daniel Siegel, a leading expert on child brain development at UCLA, beautifully describes this as flipping their lid. The thinking brain has checked out and the emotional brain is running the entire show. No amount of reasoning, no matter how calm or logical your voice is going to penetrate a brain in that state. But let's be clear, this is where a lot of people mistake understanding for being permissive. And that's not what the science says at all. Understanding why a tantrum happens doesn't mean you just let them do whatever they want or bend to every whim. A toddler's actual job in life is to test limits and figure out what they can and cannot control. Your job is to hold that boundary like a rock while the emotional storm passes. And here's the most surprising part. The boundary you set usually isn't even what caused the meltdown. That emotional blowout was probably brewing all day from fatigue or overstimulation, and the wrong-colored cup was just the tipping point. What actually determines whether a meltdown turns into a behavioral nightmare or a healthy neurological learning experience is how you handle it while it's happening, and what you do right after. When a toddler's amygdala fires up, their body is instantly flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. They literally need time to burn those stress hormones out of their system. That's not a behavioral choice, it's pure biology. In fact, research shows that once a toddler's nervous system is fully triggered, it takes anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes of genuine dysregulation before that emotional brain can even begin to downshift. Trying to reason with them in those first few minutes, bribing them to stop, or getting angry at them for being dramatic won't shorten that timeline. It actually does the exact opposite. It just dumps more stress on top of an already overloaded system. So, what actually works? It's a concept psychologists call co-regulation. It means staying physically close, keeping your own nervous system completely calm, and just letting them exist in their distress while you stand by as an anchor. Your calm isn't a magic wand that will instantly stop the meltdown, but your steady presence, your deep breathing, and your quiet voice give their chaotic nervous system something stable to sync up with. Think of it as a long-term investment. Every single time you stay calm during their emotional storm, you are teaching their developing brain a massive lesson. That big, scary feelings are temporary. There is a way back to calm, and they don't have to navigate the darkness alone. This is miles apart from the old school parenting advice that told us to just leave them alone to cry it out until they stopped. And that distinction is absolutely massive. Think about it. A toddler left completely alone in a room has to somehow find their way back to calm using a brain that literally lacks the hardware to do it. But a toddler who cries while a calm adult stays close by, they're essentially borrowing your calm. Their fragile nervous system is being supported and scaffolded by an adult nervous system that actually knows how to regulate. Over the years, this exact repetition is what teaches their brain how to eventually handle big emotions on its own. Beyond that, there's something incredibly fascinating about what triggers these meltdowns that most parents miss entirely. We naturally assume the tantrum is about the specific thing they're screaming for, the cookie, the toy, or wanting 5 more minutes at the playground. But developmental psychologists have discovered that tantrums are rarely about the actual object. They are almost always about a sudden, suffocating lack of control. Put yourself in their shoes for a second. A toddler lives in a world where they control absolutely nothing. Adults decide when they eat, when they sleep, what they wear, and where they go. A tantrum often erupts not because they are genuinely desperate for that cookie, but because the constant weight of powerlessness has finally become too much to bear. This is exactly why offering limited choices, like asking, "Do you want to get dressed right now or in 5 minutes?" is so incredibly effective. It completely shifts their experience from feeling like life is just happening to them to feeling like they actually have a say in their own world. Understanding the actual science behind a tantrum completely changes how you handle the aftermath, which might just be the most critical part of the entire process. Once the storm finally passes, your toddler is usually exhausted and often visibly regretful. In that quiet moment, most parents instinctively swing in one of 2 directions. Either toward punishment, saying something like, "That behavior was completely unacceptable," or just sinking into pure relief that the screaming has finally stopped. But what a toddler actually needs most in that specific window is reconnection. Remember, their brain's threat detection system was just redlining for 10 or 20 minutes, pumping their tiny body full of stress hormones. Even though the physical outburst is over, their nervous system is still processing the shockwave. Reconnecting with them, through a hug, physical closeness, or a quiet, gentle conversation about what just happened, teaches their brain something absolutely critical. The relationship survived the rupture. You still love them. You're still here. You didn't abandon them when they lost control. In fact, decades of research on secure attachment shows something profoundly liberating. Building a strong, secure bond with your child isn't about avoiding conflict. It's entirely about the repair that follows it. A toddler who never throws a tantrum isn't more securely attached than one who loses their mind but experiences a loving repair afterward. The human brain learns safety through the rhythm of rupture and repair, not perfection. This shifts everything. A tantrum stops being a failure. Instead, it's a window into how their brain grows and a chance to model a skill they can't access alone yet. Are meltdowns fun? Absolutely not. They are exhausting and stressful. But once you realize an immature brain is just doing what it does when overwhelmed, it's easier to keep your cool. Your calm, steady presence is the ultimate teaching tool. So next time your toddler is mid-meltdown, take a deep breath. They aren't doing this to you. Their nervous system is just overloaded. You can hold your boundary while still holding space for their feelings. That combination literally rewires how they handle the world. If this perspective helped, hit subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Drop a comment below with the wildest thing that's ever triggered a tantrum in your house. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.